7's coverage of the 4th round of the Shell Australian Touring Car Championships from Lakeside. You know, this race at this place always produces something a little different, and today should be no exception. Jimmy Richards has pole position over Tony Longhurst BMW, but the split is a mere 25/100ths of a second. It promises to be quite a race. Might be timely to check out the grid now, the top 10 for you. Jim Richards on pole in the Nissan with a 53.43. Tony Longhurst a little unlucky yesterday, a 53.68. Mark Scaife in the second of the Nissans out of position number 3, and Win Percy the first of the Holdens from 4. Glenn Seaton from 5 in the Peter Jackson Sierra. John Bow in the Shell Sierra from 6. From 7 it's Alan Jones in the second of the B&H Bimmers. From 8.05 Peter Brock in the Mobile Commodore. From 9.28 Kevin Waldock. Out of 11 out of 10 I should say, car number 11 Larry Perkins. There's your top 10. And Dick Johnson not on the top 10 here this afternoon, but he'll be starting 2 back from there, from position number 12. And a lot of work to do this afternoon for Dick Johnson. So welcome back Gary Wilkinson and Neil Crompton. Expect Longhurst to lose out in the drag to the first turn, the right-hander at the carousel. We're about 5 seconds away from round 4 of the Shell Championship, coming to you from Lakeside Raceway in Queensland. Watch the Nissans off the line. Off. Richards, goodbye everyone. And look at Win Percy, an absolutely sensational start. He'll pick up probably fourth. I think Glenn Seaton will nobble him and get third as they go down to the carousel for the first time, but it'll be a Nissan 1-2. Richards leading from Scaife, then a brilliant start by Glenn Seaton and the Peter Jackson, who gets a drop kick straight from Win Percy from behind. He'll come in about the middle of the field behind Peter Brock. As Steve Reed goes through and the 2 Nissans disappear, but right behind the Nissan, boy, have we got one heck of a race going.
What a shame for Glenn Seaton. He made a blinding start there, but he suffered some damage too in running off the circuit, some panelling hanging off the side of the cupboard. Look at those Nissans go up front, 1-2. What a familiar sight that's becoming.
Best start of the race. What about Dick Johnson? Out of 12, and he's sitting right in here behind Tony Longhurst. John Bauer, brilliant start also in car number 18. So the 2 Dick Johnson cars on the move, so too Peter Brock.
Major change in suspension overnight for Dick Johnson and a new engine.
It's also a terrific start from Win Percy in third position. He's cleared himself away from that pack where you're likely to do some damage or scrub your tyres up trying too hard. He can concentrate now on the Nissans as we focus on this scrap between John Bow and Tony Longhurst. And Dunlop Racecam shows how hard Dick Johnson's working at the moment as he goes beneath the Dunlop Bridge. In the trickiest part of the Lakeside complex, the cars actually leap up here onto 2 wheels, then through the left-hander at Hungary. Look at Longhurst on the inside of Bow, moves through. The nimble BMW is definitely the threat this weekend.
Yes, I don't think there was any doubt that Longhurst would always lose the run to the first turn out of sheer horsepower, and the Nissans being so great off the starting line. But if Tony can put it all together, one lap after another, for probably about 54 circuits here this afternoon, he could be right up there at the checkered flag.
Also a great improvement this weekend from the Mobile One Racing team, Peter Brock and Larry Perkins. They've found some speed from those cars, and you'll notice that Brock's right in behind Johnson at the moment. The Mobile cars are actually running slightly harder tyres than the Holden Racing Team entry. It'll be interesting to see which of the strategies works out in this race, where we're expecting to see some pit stops. In fact, the top 3 in last year's race all did the same. Look at Longhurst, a big rush down the inside. Percy locks a brake, one small mistake and bang.
Yes, no chance for Win to recover there.
Notice also Colin Bond there in the Caltex entry. Remember, he was last year's race winner. He was quiet all week. Took it very sensibly, and all of a sudden was leading the race and confounded all the heroes.
Yes, and he'll be adopting the same strategy again here today, running the hardest compound tyres that he can lay his hands on, and he'll just stooge around out there all day and wait for the rest of them to fall over. At least that's what he'll be hoping.
He's got Alan Jones tucked in behind him, so the order at the moment is still Jim Richards from Mark Scaife. In third place, Tony Longhurst. Fourth, we've got... And listen to this car and Brock's roar on the race cam. Distracted me from whatever it was I was saying. Good pictures.
Sounds like a proper race car.
Yes, anyway, Win Percy, I think, is fourth is what I was going to say. Then John Bow in fifth, and then Peter Brock in sixth.
Look at Percy and Johnson. Johnson on soft compound rubber. Percy, as I understand it, on fairly hard tyres going down so he's been able to outrun Johnson to the carousel again.
Longhurst is 3.2 seconds behind Jim Richards now, so as Jim threaded through traffic, he was able to make some ground. One of the problems with the BMW is that if someone takes your line away from you or upsets you in any way, it's a hard car to spool back up the speed. As Win Percy now waves Dick Johnson by, probably realising that he's holding him up. So with the Nissan, which is quite a torquey car and the benefit of the turbo, you can afford to pull offline occasionally and get into positions that you wouldn't normally get into and drive away. With the BM, it's a car that you've got to drive 11 tenths.
Yeah, you've got to keep the momentum going.
Well, here they come down the start-finishing straight, and he's still doing it, Longhurst. It's not going to happen in the next 2 laps.
Oh, he's got the gap down to 2.4 seconds, so we have got a race.
Dick Johnson slammed